You might have noticed my recording style is pretty simple. I don't use complicated hacks or clever tricks, and most of the gear I use is either inexpensive or industry standard. Why is that? Well, after 20 plus years of recording and mixing bands, I've pretty much tried it all. And honestly, I'm over it. These days, I just like to focus on making music and having fun in the studio. Huge respect to folks like Sylvia Massey who can extract an unbelievable guitar tone out of a pickle, but I find making a good, solid rock record challenging enough on its own. I don't need to spice it up by miking produce. But I did have to start somewhere. Back in my day, it was reading Gear Sluts, now known as Gearspace. As Kurt Ballou said in a recent interview, the early days of music forums were very full of loud amateurs parroting each other, not unlike audio YouTube of today. So just like everyone else, I tried and bought and built all the things I read about on forums. The Ready Bass DI. I bought one based on all the crazy raving online. Quote, "This DI unlocks a whole lower octave you didn't even know was there," unquote. No, it's a direct box. I think I bought it for $600, sold it for $450, and now they go for $950 new. Holy crap. That's about how much I paid for my 60s Ampeg B15 off of Facebook Marketplace. I think the B15 is about 100 times cooler. What do you folks think? I'm gonna say skip it. Subkick mics. These are microphones traditionally made out of a speaker that are used mostly on kick drum, but also sometimes on bass guitar amps. Now, I never had the classic version that's made out of a Yamaha NS10 woofer, and I never tried the official Yamaha branded one that was out for a while, but I did buy a custom made one from a dude selling them on eBay from New Hampshire. In the end, it was cool. It did the thing. I tried it for a couple of years. Ultimately, it was just one more thing to plug in and set up and then deal with in the mix. I could basically achieve the same thing by throwing a subharmonic synthesizer plugin on whatever mic I did use for the bass drum, and I wouldn't have to worry about any weird phase issues between multiple microphones. So not for me anymore, but I'm gonna say try it. Taping a pencil to a vocal condenser mic to cut down on sibilance. Does this one really work? I don't know. I tried it a bunch. We were like, yeah, that's better. But does it really work? I don't know. I do know I was too lazy to take the pencil off when I then used it as an overhead for drums, but whatever. I'm going to say, try it. Microphone preamps and analog to digital converters and interfaces make all the difference in the quality of your recordings. I've really been over this a lot, but it's not something I just say with no evidence or experience to back it up. Does anyone remember when having Black Lion Audio modify your interface was a thing? Well, I do, and I had them do it. $800 or something later, my 828 MK2 interface was upgraded to compete with the most expensive interfaces out there. Did it sound better? I don't know. I didn't do any scientific comparisons before or after the mod. It did seem like the headphone amp was louder now. When I finally could afford it, I got one of the best converters you could buy. Now, out of curiosity, I did a scientific shootout between that and an interface costing less than a tenth of the price. In blind testing, I had to admit I could not tell the difference between the two. I posted a video and asked you all to guess, and the results were split right down the middle, 50-50. This indicates that no one else could really tell the difference either. Okay, back to preamps really quick. This is something audio people are still really crazy about. It kind of reminds me of when I was in 4th grade and Reebok pumps were the big thing. All the boys thought you could get these sneakers and they would make you able to jump much higher. There wasn't even a question about it. It was a known thing. They made you jump higher. So I made my poor mom and dad buy me these $120 sneakers. Pretty sure that's like $6,000 in today's money. But anyway, I put them on, ready for my jumping ability to improve dramatically. Okay, not quite working yet. Maybe I gotta punt the little basketball, right? Okay, well, even at 8 years old, I realized that they did not make me jump any higher. I had like the exact same experience of disillusionment when I first tried high-end preamps. It was almost immediately obvious to me that they didn't make things sound better at all. Seriously, prove me wrong on this one. Type it down in the comments below. Prove me wrong on preamps, please. I've recorded and mixed on so many different preamps and interfaces of all different price points. Almost every single variable in a recording session, live, in a studio, in a bedroom, or otherwise, almost every single factor makes more of a difference to recording than interfaces or preamps do. Whatever you got is great. Stick with it. Big ol' skip it on this one for me, dog. You can only make professional mixes in a treated room with a flat frequency response. I don't think this is true, but I wouldn't know. I've never worked in one of those perfectly tuned rooms. Here are a few of the rooms I've mixed in professionally. And here are the monitor speakers I've used for 15 years or so. But again, I wouldn't know the difference. It's all I've ever used. All I'm going to say on this one is don't let it hold you back, and there are ways to work with what you've got. You can modify your mics to make them sound like more expensive mics. I've done this a bunch, both myself and I've sent them away to be modified by mic modding legends. Do they sound any better or different? I don't know. Again, I didn't do scientific tests before and after. All I know is it was a fun thing to do and they sound pretty good to me now. One thing I will say about mics is I'm pretty sure Billie Eilish recorded her breakout hit singing into a mic that you can get for $50 used. Kind of wraps up the discussion on expensive mics for me, but that's just me. Let me know what you think in the comments. So mic mods, I'm going to say good fun, try it. Vintage guitar pedals. I have an older Rat pedal. I've compared it to newer ones. It does sound better. I don't know why that is, or if another Rat pedal from the same era would sound as good. Who knows? It's not going to make or break a song, in my opinion. Modifying guitar pedals. I've done this a bunch too. Lots of fun. Do they sound different? Yeah, they sound different. Do they sound 100 times better? I don't know. Guitar pedals, I say, it's all wiggly air to me. Double miking or using anything other than an SM57 on snare top. I've done the two mics taped together thing. I think this could be useful in the world of analog recording to tape, but in the world of digital, probably not necessary. I stopped doing it. Also, there was a time when everyone was using these Telefunken M80s or M81s, whatever, on snare top. Tried that for a while. Just went back to the tried and true SM57. If it ain't broke, why fix it? The only exception being if a drummer is going to use brushes and play softly, I will use a small diaphragm condenser mic on the snare top. While I'm done trying different snare mics on top, if you haven't, you definitely should. Third-party plugins just sound better than stock plugins. I wish this wasn't the prevailing wisdom when I started out. I could have saved $15,000 or $20,000 on plugins over the years. Now third-party plugins are just a burden to me. They're getting old, I have to pay to upgrade them, maybe I need subscriptions. The copy protection crashes my computer, I can't go from system to system without bringing two dongles. And every time I upgrade my OS, I wonder what plugins I'm going to lose. Not to mention how difficult it is to open older projects because they have all these weird plugins that I don't have upgraded or don't run on my system now. All this to say, I haven't bought a new plugin for mixing in many years, and I'm switching over to all stock plugins in Logic as much as possible to make my life easier. Expensive cables for recording. When I was starting out, I bought a bunch of bulk Mogami cable to wire my studio. I still have a lot of it. It's nice to have nice, high-quality things. Do those cables sound any better or any different? I don't know. These days, I just buy cheap snakes and stuff from like Seismic Audio or Hosa or just wherever the cheapest place is. It's not something I'm worried about. Putting honey out for Vocalist to chug between takes. Does this help? I don't know. I'm not a singer. I've never experienced the benefits of it. But like so many things, it probably doesn't hurt and provides a nice placebo or a nice distraction to get the vocalist out of their own head for a minute. Recording drums with the Glyn Johns method. This is like the prescribed first technique to start out recording drums with 3 mics. Tell you what, it sure sounded good on Led Zeppelin in 1970. But in 2026, it's just going to sound pretty weird and pretty distant and probably not going to compete with the rest of the instruments in the mix. I would recommend simply close miking the kick drum and close miking the snare drum. If I'm able to throw a third mic on there, I throw it just over the floor tom to catch a little bit of the attack of the floor tom and some of the ride cymbal. The Glyn Johns method. Don't be surprised when it sounds weird, but you gotta try it at least once. Okay, so who the heck am I to have all these opinions? Well, I invite you to check out some of my other videos on recording bands in my many different studios over the years. And if you got a kick out of this, or you just want to hate watch in the future, please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and you better tell me what you think about all this advice down there in the comments. I will see you on the next one. Cheers.